We're online. We're
We're online.
online.
Great.
Welcome. Thank you for coming on my podcast, vlog, YouTube channel.
Thanks for the invite. Very nice.
So for anybody who's watching, this is Zoe. She is an acupuncturist and coach from Western Australia. So I was curious about what Zoe did at a more holistic level. So I invited her on to share with all of you guys or anyone that's watching this in the future. So Zoe, do you want to tell people exactly what you do?
Okay, so I am a self-belief coach. All right, so I will be your biggest advocate. I will be on your cheerleading team for anything that you want to do. So yeah, anybody that knows me knows that even when I do acupuncture and Chinese medicine, I really it's one of my biggest things with people. You can do anything. And yeah, I say that a lot during my acupuncture consults as well. So as a Chinese medicine practitioner, I run a very busy practice. I've been in practice for about, I think it's 14 years. Yeah, clinic's always really busy, and I'm blessed to treat any disorder you can think of. I'll tell you the three that I don't, because if you do Google them, it's a Google mistake. It's not true. Okay. So unless you get the Chinese man that's specialized in it for, maybe 90 years. So I don't do ringing in the ears. You'll read that a lot on Google, that acupuncture is good for that. It's not. All right. You need a Chinese herbalist with acupuncture who's Chinese and about 90. He might have some handed down knowledge. The other one's weight loss. I don't do weight loss because I find there's the physiological as well as the pathological reasons behind weight loss. The other one I don't do is smoking for the same reason. Yeah, and it's something that I haven't perfected at 80% unless I'm at about 80% on treating a disorder. I'm not going to treat it because I want to give you the best treatment that you possibly can.
Okay. So tell me a bit about your journey. How did you get into acupuncture, and then how did you get into coaching?
Okay, so I got into acupuncture because I fell over when I was 23 at a foam party. A guy I didn't know grabbed hold of my arm. I just flung my arm to get him off me, and he wasn't doing anything untoward, but I fell backwards onto 2 sets of stairs. I didn't walk
Oh,
properly for 9 months. I didn't work for 18 months. And my head would always turn with acupuncture. I had had a treatment and it made such a difference, but I couldn't afford it. Back 20 years ago, it was 120 a treatment. So I feel if I had been able to afford acupuncture, I would have been able to fix myself a lot sooner because that's what got rid of my pain. So that's why I've always offered acupuncture at quite a great rate for people because I want everybody to be able to try it.
yep.
And in Australia, we don't use it probably the way that it's meant to be used. Acupuncture is a twice-a-week treatment. All right. With coaching, I've always, had a thing like trying to get people to do the best that they can do and be the best that they can be. So it's just a natural progression for me. It's something I've been doing for, years in my acupuncture practice. And I was like, why don't I just offer that as well? Because a lot of people have asked me over the years, why aren't you a counselor? Why aren't you a coach? And I was like, good point.
Yeah, that's interesting because I came through the fitness industry as a personal trainer, but I've been an accidental coach or accident counselor most of my life. And I find that people in the helping professions are accidental counselors or accidental coaches. Um, Being different between the two, counseling is about pulling apart the past and working from there with your solutions, where coaching is someone who understands their past, where they are now, and there might be a little bit of past stuff, but it's really forward focused. So that's the difference between counseling and coaching as a general overview. A lot of people don't understand that, just because you've got a diagnosis to deal with, and it could be what are the solutions, how do you work with that and move forward, and that's really the coaching side of it. So tell me more about you. So we've briefly passed each other in our dual thing, but tell me more. What else are you into?
What
What
else am I
else
into?
inspires you?
Okay. So people inspire me in general. I'm fascinated by people. I always have been. I love to people watch. I love to smile at people in the street, see if I can get them to smile back at me. I love to bring out the best in people. All right. One of the other things about me is I grew up in the Southwest in WA. I love nature. I think
Yep.
that nature brings everybody back to their soul and their inner child. It's just the best thing ever. I have a 5-year-old. He's delightfully gorgeous. And so he keeps me very grounded because there's always fun to be had. That's the great thing about having a boy, right? Everything's just fun. Nothing serious. Everything's fun. I have a husband, and yeah, I like just about anything you can think of. I'm always up for trying something new, something different, something out of my comfort zone. I love having awkward conversations with people. I think it's great, you know, like when somebody says something to someone like, "Oh, somebody died today," and the person goes, "Have you seen the weather out there today?" And I just sort of I look at the person and I'm just like, "Really?" The person mentioned it because they want you to talk about it. So, you know, I say, "Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Tell me about them. What were they like? What were they interested in?" Yeah. So I love, like, you know, where people might be awkward or not know what to say. I'm happy to fill the gaps. I'm happy to have those awkward conversations. And I like to just be there for people. I like to just listen.
I love that you said awkward conversations. I call them closet conversations because they're hard conversations to have for many people, because many people don't know how to feel in a certain situation. And end of life is one of those, grief and loss. Even if it's not the end of life, it's still grief and loss. The end of a relationship, people get very awkward around that, you know?
They do. And why are we so awkward? There's no need to be, you know, like there's certain cues that you can say to people. Like, you know, one of them is if you're not sure, "I'm so sorry." Those like 3 words just change everything for a person.
Yeah. Um, so what other things, what are give me something that has really inspired you
Really inspired me. There's
to
so
be
many
who you
things
are.
that have inspired me. Gosh, my oldest brother is one of them.
Yeah.
His story, I don't want to talk too much about it because it's his story, but he has schizophrenia and he's a success story. He's married and he has 2 boys. They're twins. They're gorgeous. They're both neurodiverse. They are extremely special, but he is my superhero because if he can do all the things he's done with his life, anybody can create anything. So he is one of my superheroes. My mother and her stubbornness and her vivaciousness for life. You know, she's a 70-year-old. She's Dolly. Um, yeah, she just amazes me all the time. Like I said to her one day, "Wouldn't you like to win the lottery? Wouldn't you like an easier life?" "No, I'm happy with the one I've got." I'm like, wow, that's amazing. Yeah, so there's loads of people that I've been inspired by over the years, like Richard Town is another one, the man who is an acupuncturist that got rid of my pain. He's no longer with us. He's a great inspiration to me.
Yep.
My mentor, Brendan Supple, he's incredible. So is his wife. There's so many different people that, yeah, I've taken motivation from over my life. My friends are another one. Like, they're incredible. They all have different stories and different journeys, and we've all been through some, you know, rough times together at times. But yeah, they inspire me every day because they still get up and they put one foot in front of the other. It's just the greatest.
Yeah, this is one of my things. I love hearing what who has touched people's lives and inspire them, because when I work with my clients, I always ask them to look at people that they find inspirational and what attributes those are and how they can incorporate them into their own life. How can they become um, that's part of that person that so inspires them? So it could be communication, it could be the stoicness that you mentioned before, you know, it could be many other things, you know, how they communicate with people, how they just be present with people. And personally, that's what inspires me, just um, people's stories and being present and hearing them. So what do you think find your biggest challenges?
Ooh. That's a good one, isn't it? Personally, or my biggest challenges for other people? Which one? Because that one's huge, isn't it? Okay, so my biggest challenges, let me think. I don't view things as challenges. I view them as stepping stones. I view them as learnings. But I definitely find some days, like to get out of your funk when you get up, like if you're feeling a little bit tired or you haven't slept as well. But I generally, because I've been a business owner, entrepreneur, I started my business from the ground up. I have been through so many adversities and challenges. I model that off my dad, right? As in, doesn't matter what happens every day. I get up and I come to work, regardless of if everything else is going on, because yeah, work brings all of those challenges just in. This is my lovely place where I come and it's nice and calm. So there's always challenges. I haven't really answered that because I actually don't know what my biggest challenge is right now.
Yeah, the reason I ask, well, you've sort of answered how you face challenges. And I use the word challenges, not problems, you will notice. And the reason I do that is because challenges are overcome and problems are just problems.
Yes, they are.
And problems are, we focus on the negative rather than how do we overcome, how do we work through this. Okay, so because I do this in like a chatting interview curiosity form, as you will see on at least one of my others, one I haven't yet put up as well. Tell me, how do you look after yourself?
Oh, that one's a good one, isn't it? Well, I'm
I'm always open for big
extremely,
questions.
yeah, I'm extremely busy for most people that know me really well. And they'll say to me sometimes, they'll go, "Oh no, but you're too busy." I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm never too busy for you to call me. I'm never too busy to make time. But one of the things I do for self-care is when I'm tired, I rest. If I need to have an extra sleep on the weekend, I do. I have regular massages, so I lie on other people's tables. Lately, I've taken to getting my little fingernails done, which is awesome because what a great self-care thing when you work as an acupuncturist with your hands, having somebody massage your hands and then look after your little energy makers. So
Yeah.
nice. Other things that I do for self-care is I sit with my feet off. I sit with my shoes off, grounding a lot. I do that a lot. And I always say to everyone about fun. I try to have so much fun in my life, and I do. It's easy. I have a 5-year-old. So fun lowers cortisol levels, which lowers stress. So that would be one of my biggest self-care.
Don't know whether you saw on my Facebook the other day, I put up a post. It's a quote from Wendy Suzuki, who did a TED talk, and that this is for exercise, but this also applies for fun, because if you go and do fun type exercise, whether it be walk, playing in the playground, things like that, is that exercise is a bubble bath for the brain.
Oh, I love that.
And I
Oh,
loved it. I love that quote. Basically, it was a longer quote, but I've only taken the first part of it because it was saying the neurochemical bubble bath for the brain means that it helps protect us against dementia and Alzheimer's, and regular bubble baths for the brain helps protect us against that. So, exercise, because I come from the fitness industry, people think of exercise as being, oh, it's got to be hard, it's got to be tough. I was dancing around the kitchen the other night doing half an hour exercise while I was cooking. That was my cardio for the day.
that's awesome.
It was fun. No one else was there. That comment, dance like nobody is watching. Well, I
Yes.
didn't care if the family were watching, but that was fun. And that was giving me my brain its bubble bath. And I do like gym and heavy weights, and not everybody does. But the idea is to balance the fun things with the not so fun things.
Oh, I like that. That's really important. There's
Got to
lots
have
of
more of the fun
yeah,
things and a little less of the not so fun things, but you've got to do both to have a balanced body and mind.
you do. The other thing I do for self-care, and my receptionist always joke that my cat is bald, is I go home and I brush my cat. I find that his purring and being able to just concentrate on the stroking is a great self-care for me because I can shut out the rest of anything that goes on in the world and just focus on him. So I find pets bring up my self-care
You
as
know,
well.
there's science behind the cat purr.
I do. It's very cool, isn't it?
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. There's so much science out there to, we can sit here and we can waffle and theorize and everything else, but there's actually a lot of science and studies out there to back up what we do, and both from your perspective, because I do the tapping, as you know, as well.
Yes.
And the tapping's had like 5 meta studies done on it over the last 20 years, and very few um, techniques have 5 meta studies on them in a short period of time. And that's because they were trying to prove that it didn't work. And what the neuroscience and brain scanning people's brains is proving that it works. So the studies are proving that it works, even though it's a little bit woo-woo. And I'm sure that you would also find some people would view acupuncture as a little bit woo-woo because it comes from Chinese philosophy and Chinese medicine.
It certainly did used to be, Tracy, but back 10 years ago, I don't know if you're aware, we were actually registered by APRA, which is the Australian Health Practitioner Regulation Authority. So that takes away a lot of that woo-woo stuff. I mean, acupuncture is very hard to get meta studies across it because acupuncture is designed for the individual. So what I do with you isn't what I'm going to do with the next 5 people that have the exact same disorder, because your body's completely different. But one of the things I do love on that woo-woo scale, right, Tracy, is it's just fascinating, right? So people are like, well, prove to me that it works. And I look at them and I say, well, can you prove to me that you're going to keep breathing through air and oxygen? Can you show me air and grab hold of it and show me how it works? Because, yeah, fascinating, hey?
There's a great book. Have you come across the I can't think of the full name of it, but it's about actually I think it is Why Woo Woo Works. And
Oh,
it's
I love
actually a
it.
scientific a guy has studied different crystals and Reiki and other things, and they're actually using Reiki in the UK with some cancer patients.
Amazing.
And
Do you know?
Reiki is just, for those who don't know, Reiki is an energy modality that sometimes you're not even putting hands on a person. There is no massage, it's just energy transfer. But the thing is, it doesn't matter whether it's a placebo effect or a clinical effect that is measurable by science. It works, full stop. If it has a better outcome, it works. With coaching, I heard last week that they are actually recommending coaching for neurodiverse treatment.
Ooh, I love it.
So people who have neurodiverse conditions such as ADHD, ASD, and everything else, in the UK, apparently they've actually put coaching, ADHD coaching, on the table for as a treatment plan for ADHD.
That is just
So we don't
phenomenal.
have
I
to
love it.
label and clinicalize and make wrong of the people who are neurodiverse. It's just giving another perspective, and I love that. Being
And
neurodiverse myself.
I honestly don't know until I spoke to you a little while ago and I met Tracy. We haven't really spoken that many times. This is one of the first times we've had a really good chat, which is awesome, right? And you're all getting to see it just live, which is amazing. But we were talking about neurodiverse, and I hadn't thought, even being an acupuncturist, and I kick myself for this, why are we not using tapping on those children that are autistic that bang their heads? So instead of banging their heads, I implore you, come and see Tracy and learn how to do EFT. Teach them to tap rather than bang their heads. Because quite often you'll see these kids and they end up with big bumps on
The
their
thing
heads.
is about stimming, it's not always self-harm in the way that they're banging their heads. With people who are stimming can be twirling the hair.
Yeah.
My husband twirls his beards.
Oh gosh.
It isn't always a painful self-harm, but the reason that people stim is when they are emotionally overwhelmed, and it brings them back to, it blocks out the overwhelm. They just feel the pain or the stim, and they focus on that. And that's where, working with some neurodiverse people, that I have found it can help. There's no guarantees, but it's worth a try, you know. And children aren't going to do the full intention tapping that I would do with an adult. They just tap, just taking the tap. And, you know, as we discuss on the meridians, which are nerve bundles. Now, I know how I explain meridians to lay people. How would you explain the meridians to people?
Okay, so I generally give this kind of a explanation. You know, when you're talking to the Chinese person and they're looking up and to the right, right? In Western society, we view that as like, okay, you're conspiracying, you're trying to hide something. Like, what are you searching for? Well, in Chinese language, there aren't the sames that mean the same. And you'll hear the Chinese say same, but different. So the words don't mean the same. So we never had a word that translated from Chinese medicine to say nerve pathway, and they can prove in Western medicine, they've said it, that they know that the nerve pathway and the bundle goes where the meridians are. So it's just a misinterpretation, I think, of the Najing, which is like one of the Bibles of Chinese medicine. I mean, you'll have other colleagues that might have a varying opinion, but this is where I think that it stems from. So I'm with Tracy, and I think that is an absolutely great explanation of meridians, because
Yep.
it is. It's just where the nerve pathway lies for different organs.
Yep. And the good thing about tapping is that they've noticed tapping works even if you're not tapping on meridians. It's just has shown to work better if you're tapping on meridians.
Most definitely the power of tapping, like anywhere around, or even in, honestly, Tracy, even with, there's so many different techniques in acupuncture, but one of the ones I do is Dr. Tan's technique. I also do DNA technique. And one of the things that we do mainly when we do needling with this technique, it doesn't have to be spot on, right? It can lie in between the two meridians and it's still going to have the same effect.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, I just love talking to you. You're spot on. I love this about tapping. It's great.
Yeah. The great thing about tapping and acupuncture is there's a similarity between them. And I know with tapping, a lot of people find it a bit woo-woo because there is, especially the tapping I do, it's even less contained than EFT. EFT has setup statements and release statements. What I do with the IEP is we just do release statements and notice what comes up, and we follow the breadcrumbs of the body and the mind. So that's where it's a little different to the EFT. And if
What
anybody
is
watching this wants to know,
IEP?
IEP, yeah,
Yes. What
intention
is that?
intention energy processing. So we use the intention statements, which is very coachy in my mind. Is like I release all my emotional attachments to, and that, and you just sit and watch what happens, because we're working with the unconscious mind and the energy of the body. And I also have a bit of fascination, like, you know, the people say, oh, the mind, the body, people forget that they're connected. We feel emotion, we think thoughts. So when we have an emotional reaction, and whether we're aware of it or not, it's embodied. So you might feel it in your breath, in your chest, you might feel it in your diaphragm, in your stomach, those nerves in your stomach, the tension in the back of the neck, you know, the twitchy feet that you can't keep still, you know, any of those are sort of, it's almost like you're channeling an emotion, for wanting of a better word. And we think thoughts. Thoughts come out of emotions, and thoughts create emotions. But it's like the polyvagal nerve, which is a nerve between the mind and the body. And we can use both ends to shortcut the other. So if you're feeling agitated, you can use thoughts and intentions and brain power to soothe the body. And if your brain is going around in circles, you can use the body to short circuit the rumination and the circles in the mind.
So it's very much like this little picture, isn't it, Tracy?
It is. They're
So
connected.
yeah,
There's nothing
but
in
they're
isolation.
connected. There's the neck. The body's all one. I love it.
Absolutely. And this is the same in our environment. you know, from the coaching perspective, because we're both coaches, we are there to, as facilitators for people to discover their own solutions or engage with or notice their blocks and their limitations and help them find clarity to go forward. And coaches need coaches too, guys. You know, counselors seek supervision and counselors, coaches support coaches. If we only coach and only counsel or only you seek supervision in what you do, I'm sure with the acupuncture,
Definitely.
if we as professionals don't seek other support, then we're not really being honest and there for our clients.
And I also just want to make a comment on that, Tracy, so everybody is well aware. So I'm an acupuncturist and I work in Chinese medicine as well as being a coach. However, right, I go and debrief to a counselor every month regarding clinic because I value other health professionals and their field. And one of those is seeing a counselor and using the tools that they provide for me as well. Okay.
Yeah, because as an acupuncturist, you're an accidental counselor.
Yes.
You know, there's courses out there for that.
I know, but I decided I would much prefer our life coaching just for the simple reason I don't want to rehash the past. I want to move into the future with you and create the future you desire.
I'm as a coach, I do supervision as a coach. Aside by how we know ourselves through the collective that we're a part of, I do actually mentoring supervision separate to help maintain my accreditation with International Coaching Federation. But I also do supervision with my counseling.
Oh, lovely.
So I can be, and IEP, I have mentoring as well. So I have 3 lots of mentoring and supervision to do between the different modalities that I use. I don't do it with the fitness though. But I do have a exercise physiologist I do bounce off if I have any questions, because she has a higher qualification, even though I supported her. You know, it's sort of a dual thing. So that's really good. So we've hit about half an hour, and we really should keep these chats to about half an hour. So have you got any last comments to anyone watching us waffle on? I should call them waffle sessions.
Yeah, let's call them waffle sessions. We'll go again next week, 9:30. Yeah, like, I don't know, like just anything you want in life is possible. You've just got to get out there and give it a go. Remember that the people that you see out there, as we've just said, giving it a go, doing various things, we all use coaches in whatever area we work in. We don't try and work it all out for ourselves. All right. So, yeah, if you need help with neurodiverse, like, honestly, Tracy Ehrman changed my world the first time we had a conversation, and I'm sure she could change yours. If you want some help with self-belief, drop me a link. I would love to have a chat with you about it because I believe you can do anything.
And you know what I love about you know, coaching is that we're there. We lead from behind. We sit in the back and then watch the person grow and thrive. So that's what I love the most. It's people centric. It's all about their goals, and it's all about them. And even though I'm neurodiverse and in private, I can loop and go off on tangentialize or side quests, as we laughed about today. When I'm with a client, I'm 100% there because it's all about them. So anyway, thank you, Zoe. We might end up doing another one. I'm sure there's plenty that you and I could chat about. And but thanks to anybody listening. I've been up to this point, I've been calling it Coffee with Coach Tracy, and you know what, we might stick with that name. I may rebrand it. I like the idea of the Waffle Room.
I love the Waffle Room.
Yeah, well, I have a Discord. I call in my Discord, I have the Waffle Room because it's full of waffling, and we have fun and we have interesting, in-depth conversations. And really, that's what my channel's all about: interesting, in-depth people and ponderings of when I can't get anyone on. So, anyway, thanks everybody. Thank you, Zoe, and subscribe. join us, follow us on Facebook. I'll put Zoe's Facebook or Instagram. What is it for you, Zoe? Is it
mindsetchief.com.
mindsetchief.com? You can find her on there. I'll put the link in the chat below. Cool, guys. No worries. Thank you.
Thanks, Tracy. Bye.